So yeah, so as Adrien said, it was great presentation, Adrien, thank you. So I'm Luca, my specialty is SEO, so search and engine optimization. That means basically how you will optimize your website to get traffic from free from Google. But I guess if you guys are here, you probably have heard already a bit about this. So this presentation is aimed, is focused, I would say, on SEO for startups. So basically, when you have a startups, how can you drive traffic from Google? I have a bit of experience in this. I'll tell a bit more about this, but yeah, basically that's it. So let's start. Yeah. So again, the topic is how to accelerate your startup with SEO and content marketing. Maybe a bit about myself. So my mission is to help entrepreneurs to succeed thanks to SEO and content marketing. I have several experience on that. First of all, I launched the company 5 years ago, Brunation. And actually at the time, I was not very good in SEO and content marketing. So this company failed, and basically we had to close the company after 2 years. So what I thought at the time is, okay, I have to learn things. And I have to learn a bit more how SEO works. So I went to the champions of SEO, I will say, and I went to work for Skyscanner. So Skyscanner, maybe you know it, it's not some application we can use so much those days, but it's flight comparator. And basically, obviously, anytime you have to search for a plane or anything else, you go online and you search for something. So it was really great experience. I learned a lot of things there. And after that, I decided to use all these skills that I learned there to launch a blog. And that's how I launched Brunation. So it's a blog about beer, the leading blog about beer in France. I'll give some of my tactics and the tactics I use to grow the traffic of Brunation in there. And after that, now since 2020, I'm head of growth at Scalingo. So Scalingo is a hosting company. And obviously there I'm also practicing SEO every day. We are a startup, so it's exactly the topics that that we'll talk about today. I'll present the plan. For info, I'll just go with the presentation if that's all right for anyone. And with Adrien, we planned about 20 minutes questions at the end. If I go fast, we can even have a little bit more than 20 minutes at the end. So I'll do my best. So the first things when you're a startup is to think about the problems. And in general, in terms of SEO, I'm working also as a freelance with startups. And I always see 3 different problems. Obviously, there are other problems, but this one are the most important about SEO. The first one being that, in general, the startups I worked with, they don't know where to start with SEO and content marketing, because SEO is very big. There are millions of things you can do. You can do backlinks, you can do technical things, and same thing for content marketing. You know, you can post on Facebook, this is content marketing. You can post on LinkedIn, it's also content marketing. You can create blog articles. So basically there are millions of things you can do, and it's very hard to know where to start. That's why also I'm here. Second problem I see with some startups that are already more experienced with SEO, with search engine optimization, is that they did some SEO tasks already, but they don't know if it's paying, they don't know how to track it, they don't know exactly if it's working. Are you doing the right things on the right thing or not? And that's very hard to know if you are not a specialist in SEO. And the third problem is just like, you don't know how to plan SEO and content marketing tasks in your routine. Because what you have to know here is that SEO and content marketing is not something you will do one shot. You will just do it today and then just leave it there. No, it's something you need to optimize continuously and to continue working on continuously. So my solution is always focusing on maximum impact for minimum input. So that means minimum of work for maximum impact. And this means no bullshit. I'm not going to say like things that you cannot implement, and all the advices I'll give today is advices you can start today or implement today. So the plan before the questions, as said, so we'll start by explaining how I do keyword research, because this is like the most important thing in SEO. And actually it's also the most boring thing, but yeah, I'm sorry, you still have to do it. And I'll show you the techniques I use to do that. So basically keyword research, just to say, is just finding the keyword where you have opportunities and where you can create content to drive traffic to your website. Then after that, obviously, when you know the keyword you want to rank to, you need to know how to write the content that will rank on Google. And that's the second part of the presentation. And after that, we'll focus a bit more on startups with the 5 biggest startups SEO mistakes that I'll tell, and this is things I always see. And finally, I'll give some tips that you can implement today. At the end of the presentation, I'll also present my coaching program, which is SEO coaching program, and I have some free resources also at the end of the presentation, so I'll give you all that afterwards. So first, a bit of definitions again, because you will see I'm always talking about content marketing and SEO. Content marketing is simply creating content on the web for different platforms, and actually not only on the web. It can also be a book you will write, but I'm not sure this is your priority, so let's focus on the web. That means that you can create content for LinkedIn, you can create content on platforms like Medium, dev.to, or whatever else. Whereas SEO is really discipline of content marketing, a part of content marketing that aims to optimize your content to rank on Google. So this is the two things we'll focus on. The big advantage of SEO is that it's something that is very long-term. That means that once you have an article, landing page that's ranking on Google, it will drive traffic for years. Whereas if you are looking for social network and posting on social network, most of the time it's bringing traffic one shot, but then on the long term, you know, a post on Twitter is like 15 minutes live. So obviously it's not driving traffic on the long term, and SEO is a bit different on that. So as I said, the first thing you do when you do SEO is always focusing on keyword research. And I'll be honest with you, this is not the most sexiest part of search engine optimization. It's not like the little axe and all this. No, it's actually very down to earth, but you have to do that. And when I was working at Skyscanner, you know, there we had a team of 15 to 20 people just focusing on SEO and on content marketing. And 30 to 40% of our job was doing keyword research and searching for keywords opportunity for the company. So that's just a proof of how important it is. Why should you do keyword research? First of all, because this is a way to develop empathy and to understand what kind of content your potential clients are looking for. What kind of contents are your users looking for? What do they search on Google before coming to your website? And on Google, if you want to do search engine optimization, you have one very simple principle, that is, if you want to target one keyword, you need to have one specific page to target this keyword. So that means that every page, blog article that you are writing should always have a target keyword. That means that if tomorrow, and we will see that after that in the presentation with the tips you can implement today, if you're creating a blog article, if you're creating a page, always have a target keyword in mind. That means that your page is made for a target keyword and a main target keyword. Also, keyword research is there to set priority. What should you write first to have impact? You know, that's what I was saying before, maximum impact for minimum input. There are millions of keywords, millions of things that people are searching, but you have to put priority, and that's why keyword research is there, because with a keyword research that is properly done, you know where you have to focus your effort at first. This is an example. Actually, the pages I show there are in French, but I'm sure Les 10 meilleurs hôtels is quite easy to understand for everyone, just mean the 10 best hotel. I didn't take Skyscanner, I took booking.com, so it's just a hotel reservation. You probably have used it. And what I want to prove there is that they have specific page for any kind of search you want to do. If you search for Hotel Paris, Booking has a page, a dedicated landing page that is Hotel in Paris, the 10 best hotels in Paris. Same for Bali. If you search Hotel Bali, it's the same. Hotel Strasbourg, I'm located in Strasbourg, so I wanted to add this in there. Obviously, you have a specific page from booking.com. If you search for Hotel Paris 15 arrondissement, same thing. You have a specific page for this. So it should be the same thing for your startup. Whatever you want to target, whatever kind of product you offer, you should have, if you want to rank on Google, a specific page for that. Same thing, auberge de jeunesse. This just means hostel if you have non-French speaking here. And actually, same thing, you have a page from booking.com. And it goes even further. If you search for hotel with spa in Paris, you have a dedicated page. So really, when you do SEO, you have to think about this rule of, I want to rank for one target keyword, I have to create a page on that. And obviously after that, I'll explain how you should do your page to optimize it as much as possible. What I want to show a little bit, I will not go too deep because this takes a bit of time to do a keyword research. If it was a 5-minute thing, I would probably not be there to explain you, but I want to give you my keyword research technique, which is called the Uber keyword research. Nothing to do with Uber, the VT, the taxi company, nothing to do with that, just Uber, meaning the maximum number of keywords in one page. So the goal of this keyword research is to group all keywords opportunity in one file, and also to find untapped keyword with low competition and very high opportunity, because these are the kind of keywords you want to target, particularly if you are a startup and you have other competitors and maybe they have more money to have to go for big keywords. So I just wanted to do a demo. The tool I have is called Keyword Finder. And actually, I just prepared it so that we don't lose time, but I can search like for whatever keyword. It's very practical. In this type, I search for bière, which means beer in French. And basically there, the tool just automatically gives me every single keyword that are related to beers. You know, they would give me IPA beer, triple carmenite. This is just a type of beer. It's just a brand of beer, sorry. Fût de bière, which means beer kegs, Belgian beer, Lef, probably you know this beer brand most probably, no alcohol beer. And you know, just there I get plenty of content that I can just target and keyword that I can just target. And if I want to go further, I can just click on search related keywords, and I will have all keywords that are related to IPA. IPA is just a kind of beer, just for information for those who are not specialists. And actually, you can visit my blog, Brunation, if you're not a specialist there. And there, you know, I have like plenty of information, other content that I can write. If I want to sell left IPA, I can just like target it. And I also have something that's very practical, that's keyword difficulty, KD, that you can see here. So for example, if I write the content about IPA without alcohol, IPA sans alcohol, I can see that the keyword difficulty is only 15 out of 100, which is very low. So that means that there are very few competitors. And with good content, I will rank very fast on the page. And I can almost have 120 visits a month, which is already quite a good number. What I would do if I had to do a keyword research now is really going deeper. Like I'm not just showing 2 examples in there. I'll probably share the link to Keyword Finder, and you get 10 days for free if you come with my link. So basically I'll share that and you can a bit experiment with the tool. And yeah, basically that's how it works. I'll go back to the presentation. So this is just Keyword Finder demo. And obviously then, once you know which kind of content and which kind of keyword you want to target, you need to write content that will rank on Google. That means that, let's say I want to target IPA beer, I have to do some very specific content to make sure that I will rank for this keyword. So what I always do is looking first at what's on page 1. That means that I'll just go to Google and write my keyword and look at the 10 first results. I'll go to every pages, just reading it, and decide how I can add value to that. I'll explain a bit later in the presentation how you can add value to make sure that your content ranks. And also there's one last thing, that's respecting the basics. Basics is page title, meta description, and all these little meta things. I'll say a bit more about this. So the first thing I do is always thinking about what's on page 1 of Google. So let's say again, I want to target the keyword beer IPA. I would just go to Google, write beer IPA and try to find the information. I open the top 10 pages, just read them, like really having a look. I'll have a look at their page title. What's the page title that you have above, and to see if it's really well targeted. And I'll also have a look at the content on the page. I will ask myself some question. How long is the content? Is it 200 words, 500 words, 2000, whatever? How complete is the content? And all this is question I ask myself, And from that, I understand how I can add value. So there's different things when you write content and that you want to rank for SEO. The first thing is maybe you can do a better page title. So the page title is simply the title of the page. You probably all know it if you're there, because this is really the basics. Otherwise, you can just ask the question after. The second question I ask myself, and this is really my technique, is always asking myself, can I do a content that's more detailed? So let's say I search for beer in Paris or beer bar in Paris. And I'll see that all the pages that are on first page, they have like a list of 10, 15 different bars, you know. So I would just go and do 25 bars, you know, and my content gets more complete. And then obviously Google will say, okay, this guy, this person, he wrote a content that's more complete than what we have at the moment on page 1. So I'll rank it on page 1 and I'll rank it better than the other one. Also, another question is always, can you target more keywords? For example, on an article about beer IPA, can I maybe have a part of the article that's talking about beer IPA without alcohol or anything else? And the more complete your content you will be, the better you have a chance to rank on Google. Obviously, if you want to rank content on Google, you also have to respect the basics. Respecting the basics for me means easily showing Google which keyword you are targeting. That means that your keyword has to be present in the page title, in the meta description, in the URL of your page, in the H1, H2, and all this. This also means that you have to write a compelling introduction. You know, like obviously you probably have experienced it. You go to an article, the introduction is not interesting, and you just leave the article and go back to Google to find something else. So it's very important to focus on the introduction when you write a blog article, when you do a landing page, to make sure that people will find the content that they need in there. And then obviously, you know, something that's very important in SEO is that you have to write naturally. Don't try to over-optimize by putting your keywords at as many times as possible. This doesn't work anymore. Google is just too intelligent for this. So just write naturally. Have your targeted keyword in mind and just write naturally. We have 2 more parts in this before the free resources. So first, I want to focus on the 5 biggest startups SEO mistake. So I've been working with many startups over the year by doing some freelance, by being an employee at some of them, by having my own startups. And I always see like 5 big mistakes that I see most of the time. And then after that, I'll also give some tips that you can implement today to improve your SEO and your traffic from Google. So the mistakes, they're all there. I'll focus on each of them after that. The first one being homepage is not optimized enough. Second one is not writing content that's better, that's than what's already on page 1. Not having enough content, big mistake. I see that all the time with startups trying to drive traffic, whereas they only have 5 pages or 5 blog articles. Not having a targeted keyword per pages. I think I've repeated this already a bit during this presentation. And then focusing on the wrong problem. That's a big mistake that many startups do. Starting to do technical thing, complicated thing, backlinks. I think when you're startup, you have to have maximum impact with minimum input. And I have experienced that. So focus on the content. Don't lose too much time with all the technical side and everything. But I'll say a bit more about this during the different tips that I'll give you. So the tips you can implement today, like really sharing, it's very related to the biggest mistake, no surprise. The first one is, what's the keyword that your homepage should rank for? And I have experienced that at Skyscanner, actually. So Skyscanner is a very big company. There was already 20 people working in the SEO team when I arrived. And the first thing I did is looking at the homepage. And what I realized is that Skyscanner is a flight comparator, but the homepage was not talking at all about flight comparator. It was just talking about travel. It was just talking about something else. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, what's the keyword my homepage should rank for? And this keyword, it has to be present in your page title, in the meta description, in your content, in the H1. Sometimes you can be willing to be ranking for several pages for your homepage, but really, like, you have to have these keywords on your homepage. And what I see most of the time is that you would just have a homepage with only the title of the company. And obviously, then you just rank when someone searches for your company, and you really have to see that on a broader scale to make sure you're ranking for many different types of keywords. Second thing to ask yourself, tips that you can have is what kind of landing page do you have? So what I see most of the time with the startups I help or the startups I work with is that they can drive traffic from Google because they don't have enough content. They don't have enough pages. Obviously, if you want to drive more content, you need to have more pages. That's just a natural rule, you know? And for example, if you look at my blog, brunation.fr, which is just a beer blog, I have like 120 articles. And obviously all these 120 articles are driving traffic, you know, because I've really optimized them. And sometimes I talk with other startups that are working for just in the beer sector, and they have like 30 pages, you know, and they ask me, why don't I rank as good as you are ranking? And I'm just like, obviously I have more traffic because I have more pages. So anything you do, any kind of product you do, you should have a landing page or you should have a blog article. For example, if you're selling your product in different parts of France, maybe you're selling it in Strasbourg, in Paris, in Brussels, in wherever in the world, you should have a page for this product in Brussels, this product in Paris, whatever else. It's the same example that I showed you with Booking before, and that's really how you drive traffic. Another hack that you can use when you have a startup is the alternative example. So if you have a competitor that's quite big already, most probably you have people that are unsatisfied with this competitor, and that's probably why you created your startup. And what you can do is just create an alternative page. For example, in Scalingo, our biggest competitor is Heroku, and we realized by doing a keyword research that people search for alternative to Heroku. And we just created a landing page for that. You know, people are searching for that in Google. So you have to create landing page, blog article, whatever content you can create, and it will drive your traffic, and it will drive high qualified traffic to your website. Another tips you can implement today, and this tips is just the keyword research that I took 10 minutes to explain at the beginning, is really developing empathy. So obviously you can use keyword research, but most probably you also know what kind of keywords your users are searching for, you know? Just talk to your user, ask them, you know, what do you search on Google? How did you discover this? And these kind of things, it helps you develop empathy. And after that, it can also help you create content. Because obviously, you know, the tool I showed you, Keyword Finder, and all keyword research tools, they are not updated at the moment. There are like millions of searches that are done on Google every day, and it's impossible to have a tool that could have the exact right data. So you have also to develop empathy and to talk to your user to find some opportunity and some content or landing pages to write. And most of the time, from my experience, this is probably some of the best content I've discovered. And actually, I'll present after that at the end of the presentation my SEO coaching class. And one of the things we do with this coaching class is asking some client and really having like a user presentation to ask different questions to the client and to find some untapped keyword that you didn't think about before. Another tip you can implement today is optimize your internal linking. So what's internal linking? Internal linking is quite simple. It's simply it's simply having a page on your website that will have a link that will redirect to another page of your website. And you most probably know that every website has a footer at down in the page. You always have this footer. And in this footer, you should use it to optimize the internal linking. That means that this footer should contain some links that will redirect to the pages that are the most important for you. The most important for you, it can be two things. It can be the pages that drive the more money, for example, or drive the more new clients. It can also be the content that's the most searched in Google. So to know which content is the most searched in Google, you should do the keyword research at first, obviously. And the goal of internal linking is always distributing the link juice. That means that some pages, they are powerful in the eyes of Google, and you're just redistributing the power of these different pages to other pages. And you've seen it. From now, we almost get to the end of the presentation because I really wanted to have like 25, 30 minutes of question. From now, what you can see is I didn't talk about technical optimization. Obviously, you have millions of technical optimization you can do, but I don't believe that it's the most important thing to do when you are a startup, and at least that's the problem that I can see. Obviously, if you're a big company, booking.com, skyscanner.com, for example, it has a sense to optimize for page speed, to optimize for technical content. But as a startup, when you're just starting on, or when you're scaling, this is, in my opinion, 99% of the time, not your priority. Same thing, I didn't talk too much about backlink. So what's a backlink? Backlink is just getting a link from another page that's ready directing to your page, that if you do good content, this content will rank on Google. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I'm not saying backlink are not important. I'm not saying going to talk to other startups to have a link or whatever else is not important. It is important, but you have to think about something, is that you only have 24 hours in a day. You probably have to sleep 6 to 8 hours at least. So you don't have that much time during the day. And I think you should better use your time to do great content, to do a keyword research and have a page for all this content, than to start talking to many companies to get some backlinks. So just some words, and after that I'll give some free resources you can subscribe to. I also have an offer that's just a content marketing and SEO coaching. So basically what we do is just like really SEO coaching. I help you to drive traffic to your website. We have a special offer for this talk, for the Creative Valley talk, which is half the price. So I think it's pretty good price, 250 euros a month instead of 500 euros. What you get is one call a month to put in place a plan of action. You get exercises every week. You get exclusive access to my Slack. So basically it's like SEO expert as a service, you know. You can just ask me anything you have, any doubt you can have at any time. I generally respond during the same hour. And it's either a 3 months coaching, either a 6 months coaching. So if any one of you is interested, you can just contact me on LinkedIn at the end of the presentation. Some free resources. So I have a newsletter. I know that some people that are in this presentation, in this call, are already subscribed to the newsletter. So basically in this newsletter, I just send it every week. You can go to my website, lucafancello.com. And in this newsletter every week, it's quite a long newsletter, so get ready, guys. I explain every little tactics I use to get traffic from Google, to optimize for SEO, and to create great content marketing. And same thing, if you want some free resources, I write a lot of content in my blog. I explain how I'm driving traffic to brunation1.fr, which is my blog about beer. I also explain how I drive traffic to another blog called Mr. Good Gin, which is about gin, you could guess it. And I also talk about some experiment that I'm doing in general with startups that you can always use in there. So that's it. Thank you everyone for listening, and looking forward for the questions.
Thank you so much, Luca, for all of this advice. So guys, if you do have any question, feel free to open the mic and ask your question.
Thank you. I'd like to jump in if you don't mind. Thank you so much, Luca, for this presentation and sharing those do's and don'ts. I have a very specific question regarding social media, specifically Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram. You mentioned the fact that we should be like using the methodology that you suggested to find the right keywords and cross-check them. Should it be the same for those platforms? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think something that's very important first is to differentiate all these platforms, because they all have a different way of working. So let's start with YouTube. YouTube is a platform that has a high potential of leverage, meaning that basically once you do a video, and this is really very similar to when you create a blog or landing page, when you create a video, it can bring some people for years. You can, like, in 5 years, maybe you still have people watching your video. On YouTube, I highly recommend to do the same process, to have this keyword research with some tools like Ahref or something else. But there is something you have to know, is that the tools for YouTube are not as good as the keyword research tools that you have for Google. Why is that? It's simply because YouTube is a bit youngest, like YouTube SEO optimization, YouTube engine optimization is not as old as SEO. So obviously you don't have the same capacity, I will say, in terms of YouTube, something else that's quite important to know is that creating a video is a bit longer than creating a landing page or creating a blog article. So if you love doing video and all this, that's really interesting. It's really, I think, a channel that you should target, but you have to know that it also takes more time. Personally, I've done some YouTube video. I have done like many videos about beers and else, and I think I'm taking at least 2 or maybe 3 times more time than when I write a blog article. So that means that I can create 3 blog articles when I only create 1 YouTube video. And the question is always the same, it's time, and you have to optimize your time the right way. So I think, and actually that's also what we discuss about in the content marketing and SEO coaching. Second platform you talked about, Pinterest. It's not the one I'm the most specialist, also because I have tried with beer, but there were not many beers fans in there at the time. Pinterest has something really great, is that once you start having boards and all this, you rank very well on Google. Pinterest is a big website and it's ranking very well on Google, particularly when you do some researches. And the good point with Pinterest is that it's something that's not taking that much time compared to YouTube, for example. So if you know Pinterest, if you know the game, it can be really some great opportunity in there. There can be really some great opportunity. Pinterest, on the other side, I don't think there's a keyword research that you can do. But what you can do is using Keyword Finder to find the keywords where Pinterest is ranking. And then after that, you know that, I don't know, let's say for beer, Pinterest is ranking, you know that you can probably drive some traffic from Pinterest, And finally, the last one, Instagram. What I would do for Instagram is searching for the hashtags that are popular, and I will definitely try to use those hashtags. One last point, actually, and that's probably the most interesting things you can do. At some point, when you're able to do a 360 campaign about your content, that means that you will create a blog article, a landing page, or whatever else. You will take this blog article, transform it into a video, transform it into a photo for Instagram, and transform it into Pinterest. That's when you really ramp up your game. And if you're able to do that, I can ensure you that you try driving millions of traffic at some point after that. So obviously, at the beginning, you need to choose your battles. You cannot do everything because your time is limited. But when you start to scale and to optimize all of this, you can really drive bigger traffic. Did I answer your question? That was a very broad answer.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, one question on my side. If let's admit you've got a product which is a large product, with something really broad like digital Swiss knife, for example, to methodology, a metaphor to explain that your product is doing a lot of specific jobs like a multifunction digital tool. What should be the best approach for you? Do we have to specify each part of the tool with a specific site or home page or landing page, or can we have a full one all-inclusive website encompassing all the sub functionalities of your tool?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I actually, it's a good example because it's a mistake that's done by many. I would have specific and different landing pages. Of course, you can have your own page, your own page about the digital Swiss knife, let's call it like that. That would just sum up everything you do. You can have a blog article that would just sum up everything you do. And sometimes you will have some people that would really search for like this long form of content, making sure that you do everything, But then after that, for every kind of product you have, if you want to drive traffic from Google, you should definitely have a specific landing page. And Keyword Finder, actually, it's good that I'm still sharing my screen. It's a good example because it's some kind of digital Swiss knife, but for SEO. So they have different things, For example, they have Keyword Finder, which is a keyword research tool. So they have just like a landing page for keyword research. But they also have a rank tracking tool. So, this is just a tool where you can track your ranking and see how it's evolving on Google. So they have a specific landing page for this, They also have a backlink analysis tool. So they have a specific landing page for this. They have a broader extension. Same thing, they have specific pages for this, So I would really advise you, if you want to drive traffic, to have different landing pages, And actually another thing, if you have a big digital Swiss knife doing plenty of things, I think that potentially you have a lot of competitor, and that when people search for alternative to whatever is the name of your competitor, alternative to French knife, for example, or alternative to Belgian knife, you probably have many opportunities in there, But the fact is that when you only have one page, you get only one chance to get content from Google. But if you have 30, 50 landing pages, one specific each time for a specific part of your content, you can drive 50 times the traffic you're driving at the time. And maybe, just like Mangles, it's just the company that's doing Keyword Finder, the tool I showed. So, here they have just their Mangles page where they explain everything the tool is doing, that you can track your rankings, you can find powerful backlinks. It's a great example, they're very similar to the one you were talking about. They do content, you have everything. And then obviously, if you search Keyword Finder, they have specific page for Keyword Finder, where they say, find long tail keyword with low SEO difficulty. And they explain what a keyword finder, a keyword tool can do. This is really targeting people that would search keyword tool, this kind of thing. Is it clear?
Yes, just to be sure, I wrote in the chat, are we privileging or are we choosing more specific landing page in the same website, or can we create several small websites redirecting at the end towards the same main website?
I recommend to do it on the same website because at some point your website will start to drive backlinks from other pages, and all these backlinks, if you have to create backlinks for, let's say, 5 different websites, it will take you more time than if you do it just for one website, So I would just do one website, several landing pages. They don't have to be easy to find on your big website, They can just be hidden, but always have one website. It's just more simple. And then once you start driving backlinks and all this, it's better to have only one website.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry.
No, thank you ever so much. Great answer.
Maybe a second thing, if you have several websites, let's say someone would land on website number 5, and then you are redirecting to the first website. So, it's like sometimes it gets a bit too complicated and you lose people on the funnel. So I would just recommend one website. That's the way to go, I think.
we also have a question from Mario, who is asking, where does Booking.com store their article? Do they have a blog section?
Yes, so Booking.com, they have two different things. They have a blog article. They have a blog, of course, but most of the landing pages that I showed before, mostly, this is really landing pages, and everything is on their website. So actually, we can search, hotel in Paris. That's a good example. So first, you have some advertising that you cannot really do anything against that. And they have these specific landing pages, and most of the traffic they get, it's from landing pages, So here you would have like straightly some hotels that you can.
Yeah. So hey, this is Mario, Luca. So question is, hey. So the question is, what they do is like they say hotels in Paris, and then what they do is they pre-fill you to that search. Is that correct? So the landing is the search of hotels in Paris. Is that how I understood?
Yeah. So actually, that's it's a bit different because the search page is not a landing page, and they really create some specific landing page where you will have the search that's already there.
Okay, so you create specific landing page for that particular combination of words.
Exactly.
Right, but there's no article on the back end. There's nothing about like, hey, hotels in Paris, they're great, and so on. There's nothing.
There's a bit of content like FAQ at the end, like they would create some specific content.
I see.
You see? And actually all this content is also what helps you to rank on Google, because if you have a page just with hotels, maybe you have people that will have specific question and they would not find this answer, and so they always have also some content in there.
Got it. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And something, actually, it's a great opportunity to talk about something, is that Google today, Google being whatever search engine, today, most of the time, what people do is having a question and just searching for an answer to this question. So it's not really a search engine, but more an answer engine. So most of the time, if you are targeting a specific keyword and you can answer all the questions around this specific keyword, you have a chance to rank higher. And actually, that's with Keyword Finder, you have a good example, because I'll just search for beer. I'm not an alcoholic, don't worry, but it's just a good thing to have an example. And they have a very useful tool that's just like questions, and you can get all the questions people are asking about beer. So in this case, people are asking how many beer in a keg, or this kind of question. Maybe you don't want to answer all this, but you can find, like, I'm sure once you have your keyword, you can find some specific questions that you want to answer in there.
Is there maybe a last question?
Yeah, one last on my side. I'm sorry about that. The thing is, in our startup, we've got like more than 5 or 6 videos. So we have short videos to introduce the concept, to introduce the history of the company, to introduce the services and stuff like that. And we were wondering, what about the SEO aspect or reactivity without this video? Meaning that, do we have to embed this video on our homepage with a slider and having like a specific interactivity with the user visiting the homepage, and maybe it's creating more and more traffic? Or does more like video on YouTube with links in commentaries leads to more traffic? Meaning that at the end, is it relevant, yes or no, to spread the video on several platforms like YouTube, Vimeo, Dailymotion, and stuff like that? First question. And second question, is it an improvement in terms of SEO to embed into one page several videos, yes or no?
So for the first question, I always think that if you have a video that's ready, you should put it on many platforms, because that will be very fast to do. It's quite fast to upload a video to YouTube, Vimeo, or whatever else. And, this platform, they will just start to show your video to people. So you have a chance of getting some traffic from there. So basically, it's something that's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes, couple of clicks, and you will drive traffic thanks to that. So I think it's always worth it. Then the second question I will ask you is, what kind of keyword or subject are this video targeting? Because depending on that, you can optimize SEO if you know what you want to rank for. In terms of embedding, just answering this question quick, and then we can maybe talk a bit about the keyword and everything. For me, the big advantage of embedding the video is just having a faster page. So obviously, if you have faster content, it's just better for the user. So if it's better for your user, it's better for Google too, because obviously Google wants to show traffic that's good for the user. If nobody stays on your site, they don't want to have your page on the website. But otherwise, I don't think there's a big SEO question into this. It's just like, it's more user experience than SEO, because having a video, embedding it or not will not magically drive your traffic. Is it clear?
Crystal clear. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, again, the question is really like, you have those videos, that's great, but what kind of keyword, what kind of subject do you want to target with those videos? Yeah.
Just to take a concrete example, and just to be sure I'm following you, let's assume we've got a video really on the focus of being a mission company. Okay. So like, it's more like, knowledge or like discovery, like Wikipedia, searching about a mission company, and not, really a marketing with a funnel approach or stuff like that. Does this kind of word, a keyword, mission company, is something really interesting from a SEO point of view, and we can make a landing page dedicated to the fact of being a mission company, even though we are already explaining it within the website? Or do you think, we have to focus and to stick to the product?
Yeah, so I think being a mission company, it's great, congrats. But the fact is that if you start doing a landing page, optimizing it, you will drive people that are looking for mission company and that are not looking for your product. So it might be unqualified traffic, from my assumption. I don't know exactly, maybe your audience is really searching for mission company or else, but the fact is that the people you will target are people looking for information about mission company. What is a mission company? What are the conditions to be a mission company? And maybe that's not qualified traffic for you. So obviously I would focus more on the product, And if the product is digital Swiss knife, as we said, most potentially, if you look at the keyword, maybe people are looking online for a specific kind of product that you offer, so you have to have a page there to be present on Google. And actually, it would be also very nice to ask your users, how did they find you first? Maybe they search online, maybe anything else,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.